am live on the new webcam, which is I've got set up so that it's sort of clipped to the side of my workbench. I'm just looking directly at the lens. I have no idea if you could. I'm just that you can see me, but hopefully the gremlins have now been got rid of. Excellent. So without further ado, I shall crack on and do the demonstration that I was planning to do last week. Now, thank you very much for your suggestions. I think Jennifer and Kirsty both came up with some rather good ones. But, you know, a wee piggy wants to be made today. A wee flying piggy. Haven't made one for a while. But, yeah, today is the day for a wee flying piggy. So, would you like to come along and watch me make a wee piggy? So, let me just hopefully set it back up to where it was. Just a second. How's that? I think you can see me all right. Now, I'm hoping I'm going to try and have my phone going with my I don't know whether I can even see the live video that's going on just now. Hopefully it is. No, in fact it probably won't, will it? Oh no, there I am. There I am. Oh, and I've got 3 people. Oh, look, I can see this. This is good. Sorry, excuse my big arm there. And hopefully, yes, now it is slightly behind the times, I think, as per usual. Lynn, you are on the call. Very good to see you. Yes, of course, it's about 20 seconds time lag, but hey, we'll go with it and see how it goes. So, wee piggy it is. So I'm starting off with Fimo, what's it called? Fimo Soft. And the colour is rosa. It used to be called Soft Flesh. You can see that there. But now it's rosa. They obviously thought that Soft Flesh was a bit too icky. Anyway, so I need 10 grams of clay used with my dealer scales, as Enrique likes to tell. So that's actually not far off it. These scales are brilliant. They're digital scales. You won't be able to. Oh, you can actually. If I just tip it up there, these are my scales over here, and I weigh everything on there to the nth degree. And you can get I'm quite good at sort of measuring, excuse me, what a 6 gram or a 6.3 gram or a 6.5 or a 10 gram or whatever. This is a 10 gram wee creature. So I'm just trimming off to make sure I have exactly 10 grams. Now this is why they, you know, by weighing everything out, I'm sure I've said this before anyway, but by weighing everything out exactly, means that I get a uniformity of size, if not character, because of course each one is unique. Each one has its own personality because each one starts off like this. So I shall now, hopefully, the camera, although it's clipped to the side of my workbench, is so firmly fixed on. It's a very good gooseneck. I got a gooseneck stand for the webcam, and it seems to be very good, I have to say. So I am now just conditioning. I'll move the big block of clay away. Now this is all kind of. I didn't know until about 5 minutes ago that I was going to make a wee flying piggy, so I haven't got anything very much prepared for it, but hey, we'll get there. It's very strange, kind of. I'm watching myself now, and I can't read any of your comments. I'm sorry. Even though I'm watching me on the phone, if I open the comments, then I'll lose one camera. Which would probably not be a good thing, because I need to make sure that I am in the right angle, that you can see me all right. Hopefully you can. Right, so that's conditioned enough. Now, although it's soft, it's actually not too soft. Sometimes soft can be too soft, but this isn't too bad at all. And again, I'm just making sure that it's as clean as possible. My trusty scalpel gets so much work these days. It's amazing. But yes, I've been having lots of fun kind of getting to grips with the webcam. It's very, very easy to use. it's a plug and play one of those, which is super. And it's just, I mean, I can't tell, well, you probably could tell how frustrating it was, just with not being able to set up my phone properly, because my phone, I can do live streams with my phone, but it just wasn't happening. Anyway, so those days are long, far behind us, and I hope you've all got a cup of tea going as well. I do. Well, I've zapped it. Because I drink my tea out of that giant mug, which holds a pint of tea, I have discovered. Often my tea gets cold, because if I don't, sometimes I forget about it. And then I'm just having to go and zap it in the microwave. So I should probably make a note of how many times I have to zap it. But I think probably my what's the word? The highest number of zaps has probably been about 4. Anyway, here I am. I'm still just rolling it into a smooth ball with as little fluff as possible, and floof and blobs and bits of flob, and making sure as well that there's no air bubbles. That's the other thing which you kind of have to keep an eye out for too. Oh my goodness. I had a bit of a not a legal contretemps, but I found out, goodness, it's an occupational hazard. I found out that a website based in America that offers online tutorials for children, that's homeschooling, I think it's called outschool.com. One of the tutors there was teaching people, which was lovely, teaching people how to make 3 of my wee creature designs. So there were some tiny love mice and some mice in the pumpkins and some of the fatty cat magnets I haven't made for years actually. Anyway, but they were using my photographs and everything and saying, oh yes, we'll show you how to make my designs. And I was like, oh my goodness, don't do that. That's not cricket at all. So yeah, I was not impressed by that. And she was a designer. I mean, I wrote to them, and they have replaced. She's still running courses, but she's using her own photographs this time. And I think there's no question now that people will confuse her creatures for my wee creatures. But I was just a bit, really, she's a fashion designer, and these, they're the ones they get ripped off all the time and hate it. So I was like. Anyway, so that's been going on in the background for the last week. In addition to finishing off the cosy wee snowball mice, they are all done now, and I've got 41 of them all sitting in their little cubby holes. They've got little cubby holes with individual names of them, all waiting to be joined by whoever they are to be joined by. Thanks to everybody who has filled out the form that I've done, now that I know that SurveyMonkey is not the way to go, because after 40 you get cut off and you can't see them unless you're held to ransom, basically. I haven't gone through them yet. I wanted to finish January's first before I do. Right, and anyway, so here's me. My hands just kind of know what they're doing. I'm going to shape the bum first, and the legs, the back legs. And because it's going to be a flying one, they don't have to be completely on the ground, basically. But the idea is just to, because I try and not have as very many, I don't like, my wee creatures are quite intact, if you know what I mean. Do I need to move the camera down a little bit? I think I might need to, just a little bit. See whether that's any better. There we go. Again, it's a bit strange because I don't know if you're hearing me live or you're hearing me with the delay, which I know is happening. Anyway, I'm just cleaning up this wee piggy. You can see, it's a wee piggy now. And this is one of the things which really, I think this is one of the answers, one of the secrets, because every time when I'm making a wee creature, I can see how he's going to be, or she, how they're going to finish, how they're going to end up. It's quite sweet. So it's sort of, you know, I can kind of, he's going, I can't speak because I don't have a face yet, which is a bit grim. Sorry, that's maybe too much. Anyway, so I'm making the back legs for this, and I'm using my trusty, I don't know what you call this, but it's brilliant. It's one of my favourite tools, and it's a brilliant thing just for marking out the legs, or, well, anything which needs a line drawn, basically. And I'm just giving him some defined, and a bum. I'm giving him a defined bum. But this is where then I smooth out the lines. I'm just doing it with my fingertips, my thumb tip actually, just to get the harshness of the lines, you know, so it's a much softer, more real, well, not realistic, because it's a flying pig after all. But then I can use my little wet wipe, and that helps blend out the line and makes it more natural as well. So it's all about the back end just now. Oh dear. And because he's flying, his legs are going to be stuck out behind him, so they can have a little bit of a tilt to them. Now, there we go. Now, again, I'm really sorry that I can't read any of the comments. If I do that, then I'll lose seeing where I am. And I think the camera angle is okay, but do feel free to comment. I'll catch up with with everything else later, and I can see how the new improved gremlin-free technical experience has happened. You know, how is it going, basically? Right. Okay, that's the back side nearly done, and now the trick with this is going to be to make sure that it's not, that I don't touch it, that I don't get it out of, oh, there's a little air bubble just trapped under there. So yeah, so I've got to kind of keep away now from the back end and work on the front end. So yes, that's what I was saying, wasn't it? So I like to make the creatures as intact as possible, but with some creatures, and that is the piggies, the piglets, and oh, he's got a little bit of lob that just will not come off. There we go. So the piggies and the unicorns and the dragons to an extent, but really it's the piggies and the four-legged ones that are just harder. You can't, like, I couldn't now pull out the front legs, so they actually get stuck on, or blended on, I should say. But the head will be intact, so I'm now going to work on the head. So the idea now is I'm going to tease out, and hopefully you, right, according to my screen as I speak just now, I'm still faffing about with my with the wet wipe, whereas I am now shaping the eyes, and again a bit flobby. I don't know whether you can see that his little snout is starting to come out. So this is just sort of teasing it out between thumb and forefinger, and just to kind of create. Now, because the piggy is quite chunky, they're quite chunky, these piggies. So I've got to be careful not to squeeze in too far. I'm actually, my Chinese, somebody mentioned, I think was it Jennifer, you mentioned the Chinese zodiac animals. I am actually the year of the pig, or the boar, or whatever it should be, but so it is quite appropriate that I am making a wee piggy today. Although I think this year, is it the year of the dog? I don't know, I've kind of completely lost touch of where we're at. Now, you see how he's coming along quite nicely? I think you can, it should be, I think it's an auto-focusing camera. So let's give it a try. Is it focusing? Can you see that okay? You see how I've got the sort of the snout is coming up. Needs to be a little bit more oval and needs to stand out a little bit more. So it's quite, I won't say delicate work, well yes it is delicate work. And I'm also trying to maintain the integrity of the backside and also keep the shape of the face so that it starts, you know, and then I can see where the eyes are going to go and where the ears are going to go. There we go. Just got a little bit more flob there. In fact, I think I need a new wet wipe. Again, I get these from Morrison's, which is a UK supermarket chain, and Rachel has very kindly sent me some in the past, which I'm still working my way through. Right, so I'm just tidying him up and making sure that he's as clean as possible. There we go. Right, so I think I just need to make sure that his chin, put that down. His chin is partially defined, but not really. It's all very suggestive rather than definite. It's all fingertip stuff. And I know that, oh, I can see a little air bubble in there too. Lynn was asking me, you know, how do I make the bodies of the mice and whatever, and it is really hard to explain because they know what they're doing. I just kind of follow the instructions. It's very weird. I cannot explain it. I think maybe after the years of having, you know, spent years, you know, my hands kind of just know what they're doing now. But even in the early days, it was very hard to explain. All I can say, it's more about teasing and being very gentle with the clay. And, you know, because polymer clay is a really easy material to work with, and it's really hard to do well. As any of you who have worked with polymer clay will know that only too well. Right, now, before I start work on his front legs, I'm going to just mark roughly where the eye sockets are going to be, and with another one of my essential tools, my ball shaper, clay shaper, I don't know what it's called, but I think it's an icing sugar thingy. So again, tidying that up, and I don't want any stark is not quite the right word. Any indentations, any markings, they've all got to be very gentle, very subtle, very, you know, not as though I've just stuck a ball into it, or a little, anyway, a tool into his eye socket. I don't want it to look as though I have. The only one that will do that will be his nostrils when I'm ready to do his nostrils. Right, okay, so now because I've been holding him at his head, I need to just be very careful about reshaping, because although it's firm enough and it's not too warm in here at the moment, thank goodness. We've had snow. We've not had as much as in Scotland. That my mum was telling me that they've had about 10 inches. We've had a sprinkling, but it's been very bitterly cold. Still haven't needed the heating on in the workshop because it's just such a fabulous workshop. It's wonderful. Love it. Anyway, right. So there we have the basic pig. Well, actually the pigling is the little, the head that I do. The pig's head, which was the very first wee creature that I ever made. And I still love them. And it's not just a pig's head, it is the full pig's body. I haven't made any for ages actually. I might have to make some more. But the piglets, so I think these are wee piglets instead of piglings. Right, so what I'm doing now is getting the right amount of clay. I'm conditioning it all, and I want the right amount of clay to make 4 legs, and also to cut out his ears too, because the ears will go on. So first of all, I'm just keeping an eye on time, 20 minutes in, that's okay. Good stuff. And I think, gosh, do you know, I'm looking at the thing. We've got 16 people are watching. Yay! Hello everybody. It's so good to see you all. Well, I know you're there. I know I'm not seeing you. I'm just going to roll this through the pasta machine in thickest setting. Now, I must confess, I can't actually remember whether it's 1 or 2 discs for each foreleg. It's less than you think, but I need a bit more than you think because I need to blend in the top part, and it needs to also be a similar size. So I think I need to have a little bit more clay. So I shall add in a medium-sized disc of clay to each one, and that should be enough. And by using the cutters, the circle cutters particularly, again, it means that I can have uniformity without worrying too much. Is that the right amount of clay? Is that, you know, do I need more? Do I need less? It works out very, very well. You know, and by using cutters, apart from the ears, for example, there's very, very rare that the actual clay remains intact, as you can see. So this is like a little pig trotter that's coming along now. And again, so I need to give him a shoulder joint. Again, I'm just pinching that in and making it thick enough that I can blend it in without pushing in his body, if that makes sense. It's all been trial and error over the years for working out the best way to do this. And he's got a big hair on his foot. That's not any good. Oh. There we go. Had to pull it out. I don't know where all the hair comes from. It's mad. It's like, you know, there's so much flob and, I don't know. I probably need to hoover in here more than I do. Anyway, and hopefully, I think I'm still keeping it the right distance for you seeing. This camera's brilliant. It's super. It's just perched out the way, and I don't have to worry about it, and I'm not, it's just fabulous. Why didn't I do it months ago? Tell me that. Tell me that. Right, so now I have 2 little front trotters. I'm going to have a sip of tea. Do you know, whenever I'm doing these, I generally have to zap it at the end of the brew and the blether and then gulp it on the way home, just before I leave for the night. Right, I'm scoring and putting on some of this, I can show you properly, thick medium extender, if you can read that okay. So it's meant for, I've said this before, but I'll say it again. It's meant for working with oil paints, I believe, but it's brilliant for blending raw clay to raw clay. Don't ask me why. I can't remember where I picked up the tip, but I have nearly gone through my first tub, nearly finished that one. And I think I found out about it, I don't know, it must be at least a couple of years ago. I seem to remember being in the, being in the old mill where I was before. Right, back to the pigling. So what I now have to do is work out where his shoulder is going to be. So there is some anatomy. I know that I have very stylized creatures, I know, but they work, I think, because for however I do it, and I really, again, I can't explain it, but it's about finding a way of focusing on the really salient part of the creature, you know, the sort of the highlights, the headlines, so that you know that this is a pig. Now, not just because of the snout, but because of where the legs are. And actually, I'm going to switch over to a small knitting needle. And this is where I've got to be very careful about not pushing the clay body in too much, because then it will just indent. Because polymer clay, it lends itself to being pushed in. So you often get things which looked as though they've been sort of squished in. And I work very, very hard not to do that, which is one of the reasons I don't like sticking legs and things onto the creatures if I can avoid it. But where I can't avoid it, like here, then there's ways of blending it very carefully so you're not pushing it into the body, you're just blending it into the top. Right, okay. And of course this blend, because it's not just a, glue it and stick it on and that leave it, because it's blended in, that creates a much stronger join as well. And by making the shoulders slightly thicker than they need to be, that actually gives me some room to blend it in and push it in a little bit without really affecting the integrity too much. So that's as much as I can do with the needle. And once again, my trusty whatchamacallit, goodness. I'll also use my clay blender. Again, I think this is for working with oils and pastels and charcoal and things like that. But it's like a paintbrush but with a rubber tip. It's brilliant. Love it. Another essential tool of mine. And it's very good at blending in the clay together. And then should be able to just finish that off. To be honest, I don't think I'll be able to finish this wee pigling tonight. Piglet, sorry. I need to get the terminology right. They will not thank me if I get their names wrong. I'll probably come back and do more. See, now that's looking more integral than it did to begin with, but it takes a lot of blending, takes a lot of gentle handling. And I can see his tummy's just starting to go in a little bit too. And this is where I need to do a little bit of close-up work. Peering over the top of my glasses. I'm so short-sighted, and I wear varifocals, but I have perfect vision at about 6 inches. So very often I just sit and I peer over the top of my glasses. I'm doing it slightly more at a distance, more than I would normally, so you can all see without my big face and my head being in the way. However, see, look, where does all this come from? It's one of those amazing, the Twilight Zone, where does it come from? There we go. Okay, so that's his legs are pretty good. And again, just using my fingertips to blend in as well. There we go. Right. So he really is starting to take shape now, my little piggy. So what I'll do now is put his eyes in, and also have his ears ready and waiting to go. And once again, I think I interrupted myself umpteen times, but what I'm trying to do is sort of see the full creature. Whatever it is I'm making, I can see the finished item as I'm making him, so then it's kind of, I'm working to a template in my head, if that makes sense. Anyway, yeah, okay. It's not bad. Needs a bit more work. Got to be quite patient, I guess. Hey. Right, let's get, I'm now going to mark where his eye holes will be, and that's just going to be in the center of the eye socket. And already, look, I mean, he really is starting to come along now. So I am now going to roll out another sheet of clay, smaller bit and it's thinner, that first bit, to get the right amount of clay for the legs. I used the thickest setting, but now I'm rolling it at the third thickest setting, setting 3, because he just needs to have small ears, or smaller ears, certainly smaller ears than I used to make for the piglings. So I am now using my tissue blade to cut a 45-degree angle, and then I'm using just one end of the triangle cutter to get the ear shape. I don't know whether you can see that okay. But they're not quite the right size. I'm not doing them straight on, I'm doing them slightly off to one side, because it'll be following the contour of the wee pigling's head. And of course we've got some flob, because flob's just what we do. So for anybody who says, how do you keep them so clean? It's like a lot of bloody hard work. That's how I do it. There is no substitute. I wish there was a magic wand. I remember when I first started out and I was appalled at how much dust and all the rest of it there was. And I was like, surely there must be a way of keeping this place, you know, hermetically sealed and completely, you know, just like dust free and all the rest of it. And I even got myself an extractor fan, one of these, I can't remember what they're called. Like a dehumidifier, but it's supposed to take out dust particles from the... No, well, it doesn't work, okay? Right, I'm now getting eye beads for him. Now these are my special 2.5 to 2.8 millimeter black onyx beads, and this is where I do have to... Sorry if my head comes down into the way here. It's the only way I can actually see what shape, what size they are, because they are they are all slightly different shapes, and not shapes, they're all round, but they're all slightly different sizes, and I need to make sure that they are as similarly diametered as possible. No, and that one's too small. That's pretty good. Right, okay. And I apologise if my head was in the way there. I wouldn't be able to see otherwise. Right, so I now have two pretty much matching beads. So I'm using my bent nose pliers. These beads, by the way, do have holes in them. Trying to get glass. I think you can get them, and it might be something I'll look into at some point, but it's fine, because the way that when I push them in, I put them in so that the hole is horizontal. It's at the corners anyway, because you wouldn't want to push in the bead with the hole facing outwards. That would just look very odd. There we go. Now the tackiness, they always look so weird at this stage. It's magic actually, because when I do push in, when I push the eyes in, which sounds worse than it really is, it's just like magic happens. It's quite something. So I've just got to be quite confident about this bit. And push it, you see, now it's a piggy. Wow. I mean, it's just, I've been doing this for, what, how many years now? 11 and a half? Coming up for 12, and it still amazes me. It's still just like, wow, how do they, it's just like, whoa, I'm alive now. Hello, I can see you. And I have all these little conversations with them, etc., etc. So, just doing my usual OCD, tidy up with the wet wipe, and just reshape the head a little bit. Because when you push the eyes in, it takes some force, and it can deform the rest of the shape. And of course there is the ubiquitous flob, which just gets everywhere, my goodness. And I know that you're all looking forward to the little piggy tail, and yes, hopefully I'll have time to do that. Oh no, well, I'm running over time, do you mind? Let's just see if I can at least get the ears on. That's not bad. That's not bad. Okay, so again, just going to use a little bit of this. I need to come up with a better name for it rather than oh my god, what do I call it? I have no idea. Right. This is where the ear's going on. And just on either side of the head, sticking out a little bit. And again, blending the join. This doesn't have to be the invisible join, but it certainly needs to be quite a good fit so that the ears don't fall off. I have to say I've had less injuries using this medium extender. I have less injuries in transit, etc., than I have before, so here's hoping. Right, so that's his little ears in now. Now, excuse me, he also needs, as well as his little piggy tail, he needs his piggy nose as well. So let's just, I'm just rolling out a little piggy tail now. So here we go. So it's just going to be not as thin as a mouse's tail. That's the only way I can kind of judge it. Slightly pointed at the end, but not pointy. And then it just needs to be, again, it's fingertip stuff. So I'm just curling it very carefully. So hardly touching it, but it's curled into its little six. Okay. And then I need to just trim it at the back. And then again, another little bit of the, oh, should we call it glue? Is it glue? It's not really glue, but it works the same as glue. And now that's going to go on his little piggy tail. I think actually that's a little bit too big. Sorry little piggy. So start again. Make it a little bit thinner. There we go. Same process again. So yeah, that's a little bit thinner now. And then just gently twirling it round. So he has his little sticky up piggy tail. Oh, that's better. That's better. Right. The joys of a live demonstration, eh? And then weaked off. Now I've still got some of the extender there, so that's better. Yeah. Okay, that's his little piggy tail on. Doesn't need much more securing than that, and I would lose the shape otherwise. And then I use knitting needles for his nose, and this is just a question of, in fact I need the larger one. Where? Do you know I've only got one 5mm needle. Oh, I just dropped the pen. And I have been using it for making the little wrapped paper for the roses, because I bend the paper round the knitting needle, which gives it a nice curve, which means it's easier to glue. Right, anyway, so now I found it. It's in my little wrapped rose paper section. So I am now just going to, as gently as I can, there we go, give him his little nostrils. And that, now I will need to put on his, I'll need to put on his, because he's a flying piggy, so he needs a little bit Oh, in fact, and I haven't given him his trotters either. Now the trotters, because pigs have little like cloven hooves, don't they? So all I'm doing for these is that. And that, very simple, just pushing the hard end of, the blunt end, sorry, of the, oh, he's just covered in flob. What is going on? Honestly. You wouldn't believe it. Well, you would, because you're here. You're listening to me. Anyway, so, oh, look at his tummy. His tummy is filthy. Goodness me. Right, okay. I'm nearly done. I'm nearly done. I know I'm over time, and thanks for sticking with me, those who have. Oh, and I've just bumped the very clever. Right, so, and then it's the same again. So I'm just creating the little hoof. And there we go. He's done. Thank you very much for joining me. Be able to rely on the technology and not worry about it, and even have a few sips of tea. So I'm looking forward to catching up with all your comments. And yeah, I'll post a picture of him once he's finished properly and baked tomorrow. So thank you again. Take care. This off okay. Right. See you tomorrow.